Rain whispered against the double-glazed windows of a modest but tastefully furnished flat in Clapham, South London. Inside, autumn had settled, marked by steaming mugs of tea and the soft hum of the radiator. Claraara, 20 years old, with her sharpied restlessness, was scrolling Instagram in her temporary room. She was staying with her elder sister, Eleanor, 24, who managed life with quiet, principled composure. 2 days prior, it had been Eleanor's wedding anniversary. Her husband, James, 28, gifted her something deeply personal, a custom-made lavender cord set, a silk blend tank top, and matching high-waisted trousers mimicking the fields of Provence. This set lay untouched, a symbol of Eleanor's patient love. Claraara, however, saw it only as desirable clothing. When Claraara surfaced from her own selfish afternoon, draped entirely in the sacred lavender set and proclaiming she was late for a Brixton cafe, Eleanor's tired smile vanished. The groceries slipped from her hand. "Claraara," her voice strained, "where did you get that?" This was not about fashion. This was a line crossed. In the living room, Eleanor returned not with an argument, but with the smooth, dark oak paddle kept in emergency readiness, her tone leaving no room for the 20-year-old's casual defiance. Asterisk Claraara, 20 years old, inhabited the corner of Eleanor's, 24, tasteful, Clapham flat with a casual disregard that grated on her sister's precise nature. Claraara, with her long sun-bleached blonde hair often tied back in a loose ponytail, viewed their shared space as temporary lodging rather than a shared commitment. Her go-to attire, an oversized band t-shirt and dark leggings, was comfortable, but it reflected a broader philosophical comfort with letting things slide. Eleanor, 24, Claraara's elder sister, embodied the opposite: discipline, order, and deep respect for commitments. Eleanor worked in heritage conservation, a field that demanded reverence for the past. James, 28, her husband, who worked in the same field, understood this sensitivity. The conflict ignited on the day of their wedding anniversary. James had spent weeks consulting with a specialist tailor to create the lavender cord set. The silk blend tank top and matching high-waisted trousers, dyed in the exact shade of Provence twilight, were meant for the special dinner Eleanor and James had rescheduled from their actual anniversary. This outfit represented time, effort, shared dreams, and deeply personal love. On that Saturday afternoon, Claraara, 20, was wrestling with her wardrobe. She'd tried on 3 outfits already, discarding each with an impatient sigh, pacing in her leggings and oversized band tee. "Nothing feels right," she muttered, her sharpied energy restless. Her gaze landed on Eleanor's side of the wardrobe. "She's never minded before," Claraara rationalized, thinking of a borrowed scarf or a pair of winter boots. Why would today be different? She opened the door carefully. Her fingers brushed past Eleanor's neatly hung wool coats and structured blazers. Then she saw it, the lavender set, glowing softly, shimmering like trapped twilight against the dark wood interior. Without deliberation, without considering the owner or the meaning, Claraara slipped on the trousers and the tank top. They fit surprisingly well. She turned to the mirror, smoothed the silky fabric over her hips, and instantly approved. Perfect. She snapped a quick selfie, captioned it "Lavender Mood," and tossed her phone onto the bed before heading toward the main living area. Minutes later, the front door clicked open. Eleanor, 24, stepped inside, carrying a tote bag heavy with groceries and wearing her usual weekend uniform, a soft brown loose cotton shirt tucked into beige wide-legged trousers, her dark hair pulled back in a severe, functional low bun. Her smile was tired, but ready for her sister, until she saw Claraara standing in the hallway, draped entirely in the lavender silk blend. The grocery tote bag slipped from Eleanor's hand, hitting the hardwood floor with a muffled thud. Claraara. Eleanor's voice was quiet, strained so tightly it was almost a whisper. Where did you get that? Claraara, 20, grinned, oblivious to the depth of the offense. Oh, I borrowed it. It's gorgeous. Hope you don't mind. Eleanor didn't move. Her stillness was alarming. Her eyes, usually warm, flickered with something cold, hurt, grief, and a sudden, sharp resolve. That was my anniversary gift from James, 28. We were going to wear it tonight for our rescheduled dinner. Claraara blinked, suddenly realizing this wasn't a fashion critique. Seriously? It's just clothes. It's not. It's not a national treasure. It's not just clothes, Eleanor said, her voice finally rising, cracking with controlled emotion. It's the first thing he's ever designed specifically for me. He spent weeks getting the shade right. I haven't even worn it yet. Well, I'm wearing it now, Claraara shot back, crossing her arms defensively, mimicking the casual defiance she saw in her peers. And I'm already late. Can we talk about this later? No, Eleanor said firmly, stepping forward, her composure breaking into sharp authority. Take it off now. I am not changing my anniversary plans because you decided to raid my closet without asking. Claraara scoffed, turning toward her room. I'm not changing just because you're upset. That was the boundary. That dismissal, that refusal to yield on a point of core respect, triggered the shift in Eleanor. She exhaled slowly, the sorrow in her expression hardening into unbreakable resolve. Claraara. Living room, now. The tone was absolute. Claraara froze. She recognized that voice. She had heard it once before when she lied about skipping classes at 16. Her heart began to pound a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She followed her sister, the lavender silk suddenly feeling heavy and wrong against her skin. The living room was tidy, bathed in the flat, gray afternoon light filtering through the rain-streaked windows. Eleanor, 24, walked directly to the linen closet, bypassing the accusation, bypassing the argument. She returned not with harsh words, but with the smooth, dark oak paddle, unadorned, kept deliberately out of sight for true emergencies. She sat herself squarely on the center of the sofa, posture ramrod straight. Bend over my lap, Eleanor instructed, her voice low but unwavering. The authority in the room suddenly absolute. You're not serious, Claraara, 20, protested. Her sharpied energy completely dissolved into panicked defiance. I'm 20, and yet you acted like a child who scorns the trust placed in her. Eleanor countered, her eyes locking onto Claraara's. This is not about age. It's about respect for intention, Claraara. Take it off now. Claraara swallowed hard, the fight draining out of her, replaced by a deep, unsettling shame. Slowly, reluctantly, she walked over and bent across her sister's lap. The lavender trousers stretched tautly over her backside, the delicate silk bunching uncomfortably against Eleanor's thigh. She braced her hands on the cushion, mortified by the position, by the audience of one, and by the object now descending toward her. Thwack. The first swat landed with firm precision. It wasn't cruel, but it was undeniably corrective, stinging sharply through the silk of the lavender trousers. Claraara gasped, clutching the sofa cushion, the sound swallowed by the rain tapping steadily against the glass. Thwack. The second stroke stung more. Not from increased force, but from the sheer meaning behind it. This wasn't anger. This was discipline rooted in care, a severe reminder of boundaries. Thwack. The third echoed in the quiet room. Claraara bit her lip until she tasted blood, tears finally pricking her eyes. It wasn't an unbearable, lasting pain, but it was sharp, immediate, and invasive enough to force a cognitive break. She understood in that instant. She had taken something sacred, a symbol of her sister's adult partnership, and treated it like cheap, disposable costume jewelry. Eleanor paused, waiting for the admission that the lesson was sinking in. I didn't know, Claraara whispered, her voice catching, the lavender top feeling suddenly suffocating against her skin. I just saw clothes. I didn't think about the meaning. That, Eleanor stated, her voice measured, is the very definition of carelessness. And carelessness has a cost. The paddling stopped. Eleanor set the dark oak paddle aside gently on the wooden coffee table. She waited until Claraara slowly lifted herself up before speaking again. Claraara, 20, sat up, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Her sun-bleached blonde hair had fallen loose from its ponytail. I'm sorry, she managed, the word thick with shame. Truly, I should have asked. I should have thought. Eleanor reached out, not to touch the injured area, but to brush a damp strand of hair from Claraara's cheek. Apology means nothing if it doesn't change your actions. Clara, showing you respect the intention behind things is the only way back from this. I'll do better, Claraara said, her voice gaining a slight, fragile strength. I promise. Then start now, Eleanor said, rising. Take it off. Fold it exactly as you found it, and put it back where it belongs. And then we clean up the mess you made. Claraara obeyed immediately. As she peeled off the silky lavender tank top and the matching trousers, she felt a surprising lightness, an emotional shedding that paralleled the physical act. She carefully folded the garments, placing them back in the wardrobe exactly as they had been, taking agonizing care to smooth every wrinkle. On top of the folded set, she placed a small note written on a scrap of paper. I'll ask next time, and I'll mean it. Claraara, 20, then turned to the living area. Eleanor, 24, had been incredibly controlled, avoiding a shouting match, which meant the consequence had to be followed by visible, tangible proof of change. Claraara straightened the room, putting away the damp umbrellas and wiping down the radiator. She gathered stray mugs and made coffee, preparing the steaming mugs of tea they usually shared. When Eleanor came back into the living room later, she didn't inspect the room for flaws. She observed the atmosphere. The tension had dissipated, replaced by quiet diligence. Claraara was sitting at the small dining table, not scrolling, but reviewing her upcoming module syllabus. Her sharpied energy now directed constructively. I put the set back, Claraara said quietly, not looking up from her notes. I read James's 28 card that was tucked inside the tissue paper. I understand now. Eleanor, 24, sat down across from her, accepting the mug of tea Claraara offered. Thank you for reading it, she replied softly. It wasn't about stopping you from wearing something pretty. It was about understanding that your sister and her husband share something unique. That requires respect from everyone in the home. I get it, Claraara murmured. It's about seeing beyond the surface. I've been living on the surface. The next few weeks saw a fundamental shift. Claraara still went out, but she was communicative. She was home when she said she would be. Her clothes, though still casual black jeans, cream knit sweaters, were clean and cared for. The lavender set remained untouched in the wardrobe, a powerful, unspoken agreement between them. One Saturday, Claraara met her friends in Brixton. This time, she wasn't seeking validation in the noise. She was meeting them, engaging, but she left when she said she would. When she returned, she brought Eleanor a small, expensive box of dark chocolate truffles, a gesture James, 28, loved, signifying thoughtfulness directed toward Eleanor's happiness. For your anniversary, Claraara said simply, handing over the box. I know it's late, but I wanted to get you something he'd love too. Eleanor looked at the box, then at her sister. The paddling had been a sharp tool to break a pattern of behavior. But this gesture, This act of considering Eleanor's relationship was the true evidence of her change. "This is wonderful." "Claraara," Eleanor said, genuinely moved. "I know I crossed a line, and I hated that I hurt you," Claraara continued, her voice steady. "I realize that respect isn't just about not stealing. It's about protecting what's sacred to someone else." I needed that hard stop to see it clearly. Eleanor nodded. "We all need hard stops sometimes, Clara. It's what we do after the stop that defines us." Claraara, 20, standing tall in her own clothes, wearing her silver pendant, a gift from her aunt last year, looked calm. The rain had stopped outside, and a weak but persistent pale sun broke through the South London clouds, casting long shadows across the floor. The house in Clapham felt peaceful again. The boundary had been violently enforced, but in its wake, a clearer, more honest relationship had begun to grow. Claraara had learned that true maturity meant understanding that the most beautiful things in life are often the least disposable. How does the relationship dynamic between sisters differ from a parent-child dynamic when administering a consequence like paddling? Does Claraara's 20 eventual apology feel different because it was her older sister involved? If Eleanor, 24, had yelled or argued for an hour instead of using the paddle, do you think Claraara, 20, would have truly respected the boundary afterward? Why is the finality of the physical act sometimes necessary in these specific adult, near-adult scenarios?